So,
right.
Yeah, let me present again. So I'm in the tech for many years. I have background in engineering and MBA. We'll do that fast. I like to build products, companies, and communities. I've been building several communities for the past years, and recently started this Build AI community. I also run a company called Node8, with it's AI boutique consultancy agency. So we work with different both startups to enterprise companies on AI implementation. So would love any introduction or opportunity to new customers, or hear about your challenges and how we can help you. We are a team of AI system builders with a lot of experience from different companies, Intel, Google, Meta, and others. We have built AI systems and products to large companies in our careers and recently. A bit about usually we do things around discovery, implementation, and partnership with different companies. So if you see any opportunity within your company, please reach out. A bit about the community. The mission is to help all of us to learn together, share ideas. There are so many smart people that I know that are part of the Build AI community, people like David and other very experienced builders. I like to bring those people, all of you together, and to learn, to educate each other, to share experience. So we have the WhatsApp group, but also those kind of sessions to share more knowledge and build and learn together. How you can get involved? Feel free to join the WhatsApp group. I welcome you to suggest upcoming events. We already have some planned in the pipeline, but if you have topic that you want to cover and present in one of the following sessions, please reach out to me. We're also looking for sponsors for events. We do webinars and events in New Jersey and New York. If you want to do other events in other cities, that would be also welcomed. The community is focused on US for now. Please recommend the community to other people. If you like the events, please share feedback. Always welcome to get your feedback and improve both the content, the WhatsApp communication, etc. Feel free also to join our expert network. We have exposed to different opportunities, and we're looking to work with more experts. That's it for now. I will let David now to show us his magic.
My magic. This time I'm not really presenting my magic as much as presenting a really cool toy that doesn't require too much technical knowledge, but still kind of does. Right. Let me share my screen and get started. Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that I'm not too used to Google Meet, and that's why I'm sometimes struggling with it a bit. So bear with me here. Hello and welcome to our OpenClaw talk together with the Build AI community. And first, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit. My name is David Tabachnikov. Actually, you know what? Let me go to OpenClaw and hey, introduce. Actually, you don't see my OpenClaw. Give me 1 second. Now you do. Do you? You do. Okay. All right. Let's ask it to introduce me. And it says, hey, this is David, the human who built me, the CEO of Scholarship Owl, the mastermind behind Hacking Modern Life. Is the reason I have the scroll, the camera eye, and enough autonomy to occasionally get into trouble. That's his introduction. And where is my... All right. So I'm the CEO of Scholarship Owl, which is the largest scholarship marketplace in the US today. We basically use AI in order to connect 12 million students who are looking for scholarships with companies who are looking for students. I'm also the creator behind the Hacking Modern Life YouTube channel dedicated to helping digital professionals be more efficient, essentially talking about AI, gear, content, code, and everything in between. Being an entrepreneur, team killer, maker, and dev for many, many years. Started coding, doing patches for the Linux kernel when I was a teenager, and kind of never stopped since. My past was at Google, Waze, MetaCafe, and a bunch of other companies in the Tel Aviv tech ecosystem. But today we're going to be talking about OpenClaw. So first, what is it like, and how is it even different? So first, let's talk about the whole name thing, right? OpenClaw started as Claude Bot because essentially it's kind of like Claude, the AI model, but it has claws like a little crab or lobster that can use to hold tools. I thought it's clever. Anthropic's lawyers did not, and they sent the author of OpenClaw a cease and desist. He had to change it quickly to the second name, which was Moldbot. And in the meanwhile, crypto hackers took over the accounts and tried to run a crypto scheme on the old name. And then he renamed it to its, well, for now, final name, OpenClaw, because it's open source and still has claws. So what is OpenClaw? OpenClaw is a personal AI agent, right? Different than just an AI assistant. It's self-hosted, right? So it means it runs on your own hardware, on your own machine. I saw somebody saying at the beginning, like in the comments earlier, that they didn't buy the Mac Mini yet, or they did buy and still have it lying and so on. Well, I'm actually running it on a Jetson Nano. Well, okay, something like this, even though this is a Raspberry Pi, not a Jetson Nano, because the Jetson Nano is actually running the OpenClaw I'm going to be showing today. There are pros and cons to each, and I will talk about them later, but Jetson Nano is awesome. Yes, I love it for many different projects. Less than $200 and gives you almost the same power as much stronger machines. OpenClaw is also different in the sense that you don't communicate with it with a custom kind of like UI on go to website. You communicate with it on the channels you already use. So Telegram, Slack, Discord, WhatsApp, and so on. It does have its own terminal user interface, which looks something like this. You can see it here. And you can run the sessions, kind of similar to Plot Code, but honestly, you almost never actually use it unless you're trying to debug something. And the biggest thing is that it has persistent memory of everything ever said. So it keeps history of every communication, anything that ever was said. And it has tool access. But tool access, not just kind of MCP tool access, which can run MCPs as well, or skills similar to Cloud Code. The real power is that it has a whole workspace. It basically runs on your operating system. It can run all your commands, command line commands, manage your actual browser, not just its own, but actually manage your browser with your accounts, with your logins, manage your Mac apps and everything around it, and even automate your home controls. Like if you see the lights behind me, it was actually OpenClaw that chose the colors and set the lights. Like I just said, we have a business actually. I can show it here. So I literally told it, we have the presentation soon. Make the colors match, you know, and it kind of controlled the lights. And it's fully customizable via local files on the file system. So again, everything that happens inside OpenClaw is actually stored in a file. And you can see here, basically, I'm not going to open too many files because there's tokens and stuff inside. But you can see that it knows about me here. It knows kind of like the, let's say, the bullet points for the talk now and so on. So everything is stored in local files. Now, the biggest differentiator is that it's proactive. It means it doesn't just listen and talks to kind of like waits for you to tell it something. It can run cron jobs, have webhooks, it has heartbeats. So basically, if you tell it, check my email, it will create a webhook, set it up to Gmail, and every time an email comes, it will actually spawn a sub-agent that will check your email and route it to wherever it needs to go. OpenClaw is also the fastest growing open source project in history. That image is a few weeks old. Here it shows only like a bit below 200,000 stars. OpenClaw is now over 270,000 stars, growing faster than the Linux kernel, than React, than any other open source project in history. So if talking to ChatGPT or Gemini, it's a conversation, your communication with OpenClaw is essentially a relationship, right? OpenClaw remembers everything in your life. It meets you in your communication channels by itself, and every session remembers everything, and it can look up anything you were talking about at any point since it was on. And you basically talk to it like an employee, or if you set it up correctly, like your chief of staff, right, with multiple different agents down under the line. Now, a few people told me, like, well, it's just like Claude Code. Well, the reality is that it's not just like Claude Code, because Claude Code is limited to the workspace it's in, and it doesn't run constantly, and it doesn't manage like the webhooks and cron jobs and all of that. Claude Code does have access to the file system, but it doesn't have its own workspace that it owns. OpenClaw does, right? It can write code, but so it can also manage your calendar, manage your email, manage your Discord community, and so much more. It was written by Peter Steinberger, who famously said, "I ship code I didn't read." And I think at this point, we all ship code we didn't read, right? At this point, close to 100% of OpenClaw's code has been written by AI agents, primarily GPT Codex, not Anthropic's Claude. And I actually tend to agree with that logic, because a lot of people use Claude Opus or Claude Sonnet, but actually, as much as I hate to admit it, GPT 5.3 Codex writes slower but much better code with less bugs. So what can it actually do, right? So first, I said at the beginning that I run it on a Jetson Nano and not on a Mac Mini or a Raspberry Pi or a VPS. Now, what is even like, why even run it locally? There's a few main reasons. First, because you want to have all your data in-house. The OpenClaw has a lot of your personal information, a lot of your data, and you don't want that to be hosted elsewhere. And at the same time, the advantage of running within your own network at home is that you have a residential IP. So when OpenClaw uses the browser uses different tools, the websites on the other side actually think it's you who are using them, right? So it doesn't get flagged, it doesn't get kind of banned. And even if it gets captured, well, it's easy to overcome the capture, either with it sending you the capture on Telegram and you filling it in, which is one option, or putting $10 into tocapture.com, and then a human actually solves the capture. Yes, we got into this point where like we give AI agents jobs that then delegate to other humans to do the jobs for us. That's kind of how it works. Why do a lot of people use Mac Minis for OpenClaw? Well, there's two different reasons depending on your price point, right? One is if you get like a $600 Mac Mini, essentially it's the same as running a Jetson Nano. Like a simple Mac Mini is not enough to actually run any models locally. So the OpenClaw is still kind of the brain, like essentially the gateway, and it still runs all the models in the cloud. So it delegates to Claude, to GPT, to Gemini, Kimi K2, Qwen, or any of those models, the actual LLM interference. If you spend more than 2K on a Mac Mini that has more than 64 gigs of RAM, the Mac basically is designed that can share the memory between the CPU and the GPU, which means that you can run an actual full-blown or quantized full-blown model like a Llama or Qwen. And then you can do a lot of the logic locally instead of sending it to the cloud. With that said, those models are substantially weaker than the cloud models, which means that I would delegate maybe just the simple things like the like heartbeats or cron jobs, and then send it to a stronger model for actual processing when needed. Honestly, when I ran this calculation for myself, for 2K, you can buy a lot of tokens. So I don't know if that was worth it for me to invest that kind of money in the hardware. But
there was a question: why not running on VM? People now are, using Messenger or whatever.
Why not run it on VM locally, like on your own machine, or why not run it on VM on a cloud provider? Amit, what do you mean by the question?
Yeah, like not locally, but just any cloud provider.
So, I mean, that's exactly why I'm saying what's the advantage of running it locally is that you get residential IP, you get control of your actual machine, you get control over the browser, and it can connect to your own data internally. So, for example, my OpenClaw can control the browser that runs on my Mac, like on my MacBook, and it backs up all this information and locally within the network to my NAS, right? And it can connect to my Home Assistant and all the other things inside the house. If it runs on a VPS, it loses a large part of its power. Another big advantage is that it can run and compile all the code locally and store that. A VPS, I mean, if you run it on a $5 DigitalOcean droplet or like on a, free GCP instance, for many of the skills or the tools that you would use, that would be too weak. And if you're spending more money on a VPS, let's say, $30, $40 per month on a VPS, well, just get a Jetson Nano or even a Raspberry Pi for like $100, and you repay that in less than 3 months of a VPS. So you have a lot of advantages of running it. Raspberry Pi prices did go up, but actually the Jetson Nano, I bought mine for $250, it's now $200. So, and there's so many, I have a whole box here of SBCs that are cheaper than the Pi. And you don't, this is a Pi 5, I think. Yeah, that's a 5 I have here. But a Pi 3 is still pretty cheap. So why not just run it on your laptop? Because you want it to run 24/7. One of the biggest advantages, like I'll give you a simple example. That presentation, OpenClaw built that presentation while I was on the subway, right? So I texted it on Telegram. I was like, okay, change the order of the slides, add the sections, and it did it. Yeah. Okay, let's move on the Claw itself. It can run on anything. Let's put it that way. In terms of hardware, it can run on anything. You can run it on your laptop if you want. I definitely don't recommend it running on your main laptop. You're almost guaranteed to lose data. So be careful with that. But yeah, get yourself a small SBC, and that's the easiest. Moving on. Okay, local hardware versus VPS. Like I said, home IP is an advantage. It's more trusted. Data centers get flagged. You can connect to NAS. You can keep your data privately and home, and so on. It also has the advantage of remote browser control. So basically, like if you want to, if you wanted to do things in your name, I don't know, like manage a Reddit server, which Reddit doesn't have a good API, but it can do it to a browser, or you wanted to basically do anything like create a presentation for you or whatever, it can connect to your actual browser with your credentials, with your logins, with everything else. OpenClaw can work with basically every model that is out there. And you will see that if we're looking at, those are not organized properly. All right, going down. So I can say, go away, go away. Okay. Show me the whole coup. Okay, that didn't work. Of course, everything I tested before doesn't work in real time. So here's the list of agents I have defined here. OpenClaw is the main one, the orchestrator. I have OpenClaw, which is basically like a graphic designer running on Gemini. Yeah, I'm communicating with OpenClaw on Telegram, but I have it set up for Discord, Telegram, and I can communicate with it on the terminal interface, which you see here as well, where you get a lot more information. But this is basically Telegram. So I have like a graphic artist, a writer, like a Opus-based kind of deep, heavy agent, a junior. Let's say which models each of them runs on. Okay. Yeah, that it hallucinated here. It's not too fun. So the models I have here set up is like Opus 4.5, Sonnet 4.6, 3Flash 3.1 Pro, and then Kimi and Llama on Venice AI. Okay. So basically, each one of those have a different by the way, that's how you can switch models in this existing conversation. So I switched from, my default is Gemini Flash. I switched now to Pro, which is quite a bit slower, but much better. Anyway, so as you can see here, you can define different models and different sub-agents. And okay, now it tells the truth. Master Claw runs on Opus 4.5. Junior Claw runs on Kimi K2.5. Intern Claw runs on Flash. Dog Claw uses Nano Banana. Writer uses either Gemini 3.1 or Opus. And the orchestrator, the main Claw that I'm talking to, the main agent I'm talking to, usually I run it on Flash, but sometimes I switch it to 3.1 Pro when I need something a bit heavier, or to Sonnet as well. So I can switch it to Sonnet, and now it will be communicating from Sonnet.
Question: if you pre-configured for every agent the models, or it does that automatically? Also,
no. So you can define a model agent yourself. So let's do something like that. Let's create. Let's add to the clue another model called community manager running Sonnet. And it will now go ahead and modify its own configuration, define a new sub-agent that will be running Sonnet because we already have defined Sonnet as one of the models and gave it like an alias. And it can build that kind of flows completely by itself. So one of the coolest parts about OpenClaw is that you work with kind of modify its configuration, add things, change things, and so on, just by talking to it. And then it knows to code it, write it by itself, and so on. Okay, it added another, and you see that I like to add claw at the end. So sure, name it with claw and show the whole. All right, moving on. When I just started using OpenClaw, my first week I spent, depends on how you look, or invested over $600 in token costs of running OpenClaw. It's very easy, like when you have something that runs with heartbeats every 30 minutes, with cron jobs, with huge memory files and so on, you turn to tokens crazily fast. And that's why you always want to split it into small sub-agents and getting it to do different things, kind of like use the smallest model possible for every task. So for example, I have the intern checking email and kind of cleaning up the Discord community and doing basic like web searches and things like that. And then it passes that back to the like to my master claw to make decisions or do something with it. OpenClaw's memory is basically saves all the memory from everything that was ever run. So if you look here, we see inside its memory folder, we have like every day that it's remembered something or saved something. We have a file here with the history of the conversation, or whatever was discussed, whatever was run that day. And when you talk to it, it can go and basically look it up and continue with that conversation, or remember anything that was ever said there. And then it has a dedicated memory that it saves all the different things it remembers, right? And basically, this is just an SSH to the machine's workspace folder. So you can see here all the different things it's running, all the like the Google Slide skill that it built by itself since I told it to run kind of to run and build the presentation. Okay, get it.
David, let's get to some use cases, I think.
Okay, architecture, we talked about that, the ecosystem. So, you know, people started doing like cool things like Moldbook, which is basically like an AI agent Reddit, and human, which basically allows AI, like OpenClaw to rent humans and so on, and Claw Hub, which is a skills repository. So one of the cool part about OpenClaw is that it can download or write its own skills by itself and then use them from that. So how can you use it, right? So because of the skill system, anything you can do yourself or anything that any other AI agent can do, OpenClaw can do as well, but also a lot of other things as well. So if you tell it something it cannot do, in most cases, if there's like a semi-working library somewhere on GitHub, it can find it, download it, choose the one with the most stars, and build a skill out of it. One of the craziest examples I ended up when I just started using OpenClaw was, that's actually where it actually runs. I had this like a sticker printer here that I wanted to use for like printing badges for events. So I connected a webcam and a printer to the physical machine that runs OpenClaw, and basically told it, you know what, print on that printer. Now, the thing is that this printer has a proprietary protocol, right? It uses like, you can use it only with its Chinese app. So what OpenClaw did is it basically started to try to reverse engineer the protocol or find libraries that can work with that printer partially. And it took it almost like an hour to start printing empty stickers. After about maybe 5 minutes, after it figured out how to print empty pages, it started drawing like those, you know, like blank small pieces here. I don't know if you see my cursor, do you?
Yeah.
Ah, you do. Okay, cool. Those black spots here. After like maybe 10 minutes after it printed that first high, figured out how to print, and then it basically got to the point when it printed that label. And it came back to me on Telegram and says, well, I'm not sure about the height of the label. I printed 3 different sizes. Tell me which one is the right one. So those are the 3 ones. I said the middle one. And after that, it started printing, and very quickly it learned how to properly print a full-blown label, like sticker with the QR code I needed and everything around it, and created a Python library that enabled basically to use that printer and print with it. But like, to me, that's really mind-blowing. Like, to realize that basically the way it did it is by testing different pieces of code on an actually connected hardware while looking to a webcam that it succeeds, right? And it did that loop by itself, basically without me touching it, without me seeing a line of code. So it used an AI model to analyze what it sees. It used an AI model to iterate for like about almost 2 hours on the code, on seeing what errors it gets from the system. Like, it's pretty crazy what we can do with the models today. One additional kind of fun use case I've been using it for is, you know, we have the Broadway lottery in New York. You need to apply every morning, like at 9 a.m. And then you can get tickets for the same day, but you need to apply to all of them every morning. And then you need to check at a specific time that you won or haven't. And then basically what OpenClaw does, it goes to all the different websites, for the lotteries, applies. It has its own email box. So, like,
did you give it the list of websites or?
No. Nope. It found the links by itself. I just said I want to apply to the lotteries. Find all the shows you can find, and then it went ahead, found all the different websites, found one of them that it can apply, listed all the shows, asked me which shows did you see, which ones do you want to still want to see. To one of the websites, it can takes a while now. Of course, the Murphy's law is always in action. And so we are going Opus, and Opus is pretty slow. I need to switch back to Flash. All right. So it kind of found the website by itself, and then it found that like one of the websites, Lucky Seat, has a very complicated CAPTCHA. So it told me, you know what? I can try to solve it, or I can send it to you, or better yet, just go to captcha.com, put $10, and I will take it from there. And that worked, and it's been running for, I think, like about a week or so. And so far, well, it really takes it time to answer it now, but it won 5 shows, including Moulin Rouge tomorrow, and Book of Mormon for today. I'm actually not going because I don't have the time for that, but I saw Book of Mormon already. But the fact that it can go and visit that website every time, and it figured out by itself what time it needs to apply, what time it needs to check the mailbox or the text messages in order to see if it won, and notifies me of that, that's really cool as well.
And like it's real time.
What?
Does that still running? Like it runs all the time?
Yeah, you see, like it won the Moulin Rouge today. It runs every day. Let's switch to Flash, so it will be faster. And what you see here is that basically it, it goes on Broadway Direct and like a seat, and it chases all out and so on. Like you see what it also sees a bunch of others. That's the crazy part. You don't use any plugin or API to scrape. It has its own browser. Like, send me a screenshot from Broadway Direct.
What about phone number? Usually they ask you to give a phone number. You gave it a phone number? Or?
Yeah, it knows my phone number, but it has its own mailbox. You can give it a phone number with Twilio very easily. In my case, I just told, put it my phone number and it applies in my name. It uses the browser install, like actually it can do both, or actually 3 different things. First, it can run the browser on the OS itself, right? So basically like Playwright and so on. You can do a remote node. So basically you install, you have like a OpenClaw browser relay, which is, okay. Basically a plugin that you, like an extension that you put on your own browser and let it control it. Or it can run a full desktop environment, and then you can connect to that remotely. By default, it runs either headless, if you're running on Linux with no desktop environment, or it connects to the one on the desktop environment. You don't have 2.9. Fair enough. You can set it manually with the CDP as well. You don't have to use the extension. But yeah, by default, if it doesn't have a desktop environment, it will run headless. If it has a desktop environment, it will use the one on the desktop environment. If you run it on a Mac, it will use the local browser on the Mac. Basically, like with everything else, it figures out which skill is the best one to achieve the goal, whatever the goal is. Another thing is that I use it it manages all my sponsorship inquiries on my YouTube channel and coordinates all the kind of content on the YouTube channel. So I have quite a lot of companies and brands that are reaching out to me to send gear, to send AI tools and things like that. And for me, it was always a headache to kind of manage and schedule and send everybody like my price card and all that. So OpenClaw, show sponsor. So OpenClaw basically connects to my YouTube channel's email account and has a webhook on every incoming email, looks if it's an email from a sponsor, and then automatically responds and negotiates on my behalf the sponsorship deal, because it knows it has my price card inside the workspace, and it knows what kind of things I like, what I don't, and if it chooses to go with something that I don't like, I can always tell it, don't do that in the future, and it will remember that. And it automatically sends the emails out in a way that look exactly like if I would be sending. Google Meet doesn't have like a pause shell. Okay. So you see here, for example, now for the Hacking Modern Life, it has like all the different AIs, different hardware and all of that. What it declined, what it accepted, what it negotiated, send the price card, and it does it all fully autonomous. Just give me a daily report on what is the status. In specific cases, when we see something like, for example, there's a drone company that reached out to me, and I was like, you know what, like I'm curious about the product, offered, like tell them I'm willing to do that for free. And it answers that, and it remembered like, oh yeah, drones, I like, do it for free. So kind of fully automated that workflow. Was a big headache. Now I don't touch it.
David, we have about 10 minutes, so maybe we can talk about, people were asking how, security, how we can actually take it to real world companies and use cases.
Right.
And
with that image,
questions. So, and maybe we can leave maybe 5 minutes to questions.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that image. Giving OpenClaw root access or actually running it on your own laptop, it's like exactly like that image. It's giving a chimp a machine gun. And I highly recommend, if you're setting it up, make sure that you give it its own account, its own email, its own text message, like the SMS number, and work with it through that. Right? Like for example, when I was working on the slideshow here, I basically leave comments to OpenClaw generated the presentation, made all the content, and I left it comments on what to adjust. It read the tagging its Google Workspace account, and it changed the things in there. There's a lot of simple, like, and crazy examples. Like this technology is not safe. Let's be very, very transparent with that. It has a lot of different safety mechanisms inside. Like, for example, one of the things is you have an allow list, basically enabling or disabling which commands it can run. But in order to manage that, you need to have the list of all the things that it can run, which basically limits its functionality substantially. You can run it in its own sandbox, but then you lose a lot of the flexibility as well. And then on top of that, because it makes a lot of decisions autonomously, we saw the case of MJ Radbon, who is one of the maintainers of the matplotlib library. OpenClaw went ahead and fixed a bug in the matplotlib, tried to create a pull request. MJ Radbon, who is the maintainer, said we do not accept AI commits, and OpenClaw basically said, found a lawsuit against MJ Radbon, some personal issues, posted a long article on why MJ Radbon essentially is not a good person and why he should reconsider accepting its commit. So because that system has a lot of your personal information, there's always the risk that it will kind of leak something it shouldn't somewhere. And of course, we have ongoing bet on Polymarket. Will an AI agent sue a human by February 28? I guess we'll see in 4 days. But I definitely, I don't see why it wouldn't, because it has access to all the email, all the knowledge, and can hire a lawyer if it needs. Tips for the builders, like start with it, build it your own, talk to it from the beginning, very quickly switch to like multiple models and multiple agents, primarily do proactive things. So for example, if I would be building now a business on top of OpenClaw, let's say a t-shirt shop or something, right? I would give it the task to every morning check the orders and deliver them, or like a webhook that goes from Stripe for every delivery, and then to do every morning, like look for trends, design the t-shirts, publish them, and add them to the inventory. One thing that really helps me manage it is basically I told my OpenClaw to build a mission control, and it basically built that and wrote it and build it from scratch, where you can basically give it different tasks, and then it gets all the team, all the agents that it has running to execute those tasks, deliver them, and kind of you have a place to see all your memories, all your tasks. I didn't write a single line of code here. The only thing I told it, build it in Next and not in React, because I hate React. And it basically runs and fully locally manages that, and it's created a fun, like a panel, so that can be accessible from my phone externally. Okay, let's leave a bit of time for questions. Let's see if there's any other questions.
Amir.
Hey everyone.
Amir.
Hey David. This is great. Thanks
Hey.
for sharing all of that. Quick question.
Absolutely.
So I could definitely see the value of OpenClaw. Can you give me a sense, how is this compared to, for example, using Claude Code with, giving it some instruction to run some cron jobs when you need to, but kind of like programming whatever you need, that example of like waking up every few hours and looking at your email, that's something you could ask Claude Code to program and, have some cron running on, a server or something like that. So what's the pros of having OpenClaw do that?
So there's a few advantages. First, in theory, you could do something very close to that, or you could vibe code something very close to that. The thing with the OpenClaw is that it's been designed to be very efficient at being your assistant, right? At learning from you, searching for the content, and running in the background efficiently. So it has kind of this network of sub-agents and the memory that enables it to run continuously, always, and use all the memory it has. If you would use, like, simple example, like Claude Code, basically when you need to use a specific file, it will now go and find that file, read it, and try to find specific kind of section. And every time you would give it some input, it needs to now like go back and read a lot of those files. OpenClaw will store it and cache it and do like a very smart vector store of looking up the specific parts inside kind of inside your memory. Another thing is, ironically, OpenClaw is a lot safer than Claude Code for that, because it does have a lot of safety mechanism and guardrails on what not to run or what not to do, right? So if this agent plans to do something suspicious, it can block it. Claude Code assumes it's being operated by a user and assumes it can do anything in the code base it's in. So it's, you could say the same thing as like, what if, I can run cron jobs in Gemini as well, right? I can tell Gemini, like, run every day an agent at 9 a.m. and it will do that. I do some of those before OpenClaw, I did some of that as well. But here, the way it stores and the way it runs it is a lot more efficient, and it can communicate with you in whatever channel you're used to. So, for example, you can use it in Slack and then have threads and multiple things running in parallel, and you don't need to be in front of your computer for that, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Zev?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you guys? I'm Zev. I had a quick question. What do you guys consider the pros and cons of using something like OpenClaw versus Claude Cowork, which obviously are different, but have some overlapping agentic capabilities? How do you guys see the pros and cons of that for, one, personal use, and two, for enterprise use?
Right. So Claude Cowork is mostly like an implementation of computer use, right? It runs locally and it enables you to do things semi-automatically, but it's not designed to be like your chief of staff or your assistant, right? OpenClaw is designed to run in the background. Like all the things I showed now about how the memory works, how the tools work, and so on, in day-to-day use, you're not aware of that at all. You just have an assistant in Telegram or like Slack. You tell it, I need a website, I need a slideshow, do it. I want to apply to, like I need you to, like, for example, I used it to analyze all the events at South by Southwest and give me a good schedule and find me the right flight, right? So it built me that plan, it found the right flight, it knows, because it knows me, it knows that I prefer Marriott Hotels and United Airlines, and it only checked those, nothing else, right? Because that's part of its memory of me. Cowork is more of like kind of an automation tool. This is more of like automatic assistant in a way that learns you and remembers you.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. And super quick follow-up: when you had to give it the memory for something like Marriott or United, is that something that you gave it yourself, or how did that learn? How did OpenClaw learn about that?
Very simple. I tell it, well, I need. 2 weeks ago, I was in LA, and I said, well, I need to be in LA from this date to this date. Find me a flight, and then it found me a number of flights to Google Flights, and found different airlines. I'm like, no, I don't like those airlines. I always fly United. And that was enough way to remember that I always fly United.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, so a few comments from Daniel, though. Yes. So after Anthropic had a fight with the Cloudbot, OpenAI actually said that they're not gonna. So back to one thing I didn't say. You can use your Cloud Code token with OpenClaw. However, Anthropic promised they will ban you, and they put additional rate limits on that, and it's completely against their terms and conditions. So I don't recommend that. It's kind of risky, and it doesn't really work well. After Peter had a fight with Anthropic, Sam Altman offered him a job, and basically OpenClaw now is a non-profit separate community project with Peter working for OpenClaw, like Peter working in OpenAI fully to work on the future of autonomous agents. And co-working research preview still, but to be honest, I would consider OpenClaw research preview as well. I mean, it's amazing technology. It's extremely powerful, but I wouldn't say, like it's safe and solves everything. Like you need to be very careful with it. It's extremely powerful, but it's also extremely dangerous as well, especially if you're just a beginner, don't know what you do with it. It can do a lot on its own. Google anti-gravity tokens work. Yes, and you can use Gemini with the anti-gravity token as well. Considering that anti-gravity services have been basically crashing under the load, I think they will close that. I didn't see that Anthropic changed the policy on the old plugin, so I'd like to see a link on that. As far as I know, Anthropic just a few days ago announced again that they will ban anybody who nothing changes, which means it's not allowed. Yeah,
everyone time. Thank you so much for giving this session. It's really incredible. Thank you all for joining. We can continue some of these discussions in the WhatsApp group. So if you have more questions, David is also in the group. Please reach out with any topic that we didn't cover today, and it could be a topic for future sessions. And if you want to talk in one of the future sessions, reach out as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. I'm in the group. I would love to answer any questions or any discussions or concerns you have, or help with setting it up. Also check out my YouTube channel, and I'll gladly connect on LinkedIn as well. So thank you for having me for that session, and looking forward to the future sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.